All right, so, everyone wants healthy relationships, right? And you sent over this script. It's almost like snapshots of different
Yeah.
relationships. And I'm really curious to see what we can pull out of it.
One thing that I find fascinating about this script is how it takes these kind of abstract relationship concepts,
Right.
and shows them, through these everyday scenarios like friends having a conversation or,
Yeah.
siblings having a little squabble or something like that.
It's like you get to see how it plays out, right?
Exactly.
With
Yeah.
real people.
Yeah. And it helps you realize that these aren't just like theoretical ideas, but real challenges that people face in their everyday lives.
Like with Sarah and Mike, right? They kind of hit a snag because Mike's super busy with work.
Right.
But instead of letting it, like, fester,
Yeah.
they actually talk about it.
What I find really interesting about that scene is how the script emphasizes the importance of communicating, not just, once in a while, but consistently.
Yeah.
Sarah and Mike are willing to address these issues as they come up rather than letting them build up. And that's really important for building strong relationships.
It's like, I don't know if this is a good analogy or not, but
Sure.
it's like tending a garden, right?
Yeah.
You can't just water it once and expect it to, thrive.
I like that analogy. Yeah.
It's about being proactive,
Absolutely. Yeah.
But honestly, sometimes I feel like, pushing back can be healthy too.
Uh-huh.
Like a little constructive conflict can be good,
Yeah, that's an interesting
to
point.
clear the air.
It makes me think about that scene with Emma and David where they're discussing honesty.
Right.
The script highlights that even small acts of dishonesty can really erode trust
Yeah.
over time.
Yeah.
And, sometimes being honest means, expressing difficult emotions or disagreeing in a way that's
Respectful.
respectful. Yeah.
Well, so honesty builds trust.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But the script also shows that trust allows for vulnerability.
Right.
Emma and David, I mean, they're clearly comfortable opening up because they've built that foundation.
Absolutely. Yeah, when you can count on someone to be truthful and to, to follow through
Mm-hmm.
on their promises, it creates a sense of safety
Yeah.
and security, and you feel comfortable being yourself.
Right. So you feel like you can be your authentic self and you're not going to be judged.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or ridiculed or anything like that.
Okay, so that leads to respect.
Yeah.
The script highlights this through Raj and Lisa.
Hmm.
They have different approaches to this work task,
Right.
but they handle it respectfully.
Right.
I'm curious, what does respecting boundaries actually look like? I mean, source mentions it prevents pressure or control,
Mhm.
but can we unpack that a bit more?
Yeah. Respecting boundaries is about recognizing that everyone has their own needs, limits, and ways of doing things.
Yeah.
It's about valuing their autonomy and not trying to force them into, your mold.
Mhm.
And in a healthy relationship, there's no room for, manipulation
Right.
or coercion.
Right.
It's about respecting, the other person
That makes sense.
and where they're at.
And it's not just about what we say,
Right.
but how we listen.
Yeah.
The script mentions active listening,
Yeah.
and I think that plays a huge role.
Absolutely.
In respect.
You're right. Active listening involves not just hearing the words, but understanding the emotions
Yeah.
and the underlying messages. It's
Yeah.
about, giving you full attention,
Yeah.
asking clarifying questions, and reflecting back what you've heard to ensure, understanding. Yeah.
So I see how that ties back into trust too, right?
Hmm.
If you feel heard and understood,
Right.
you're more likely to trust.
Yeah. You're more likely to trust the person that you're communicating with.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that trust allows for a greater vulnerability and intimacy in the relationship.
It's like a positive feedback loop.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
So it's like all these elements: communication, trust, respect. They're all intertwined. They
Mhm.
feed off of each other
Mm-mm.
and strengthen the whole bond.
Yeah. While open communication is key, it's also important to acknowledge that conflict is inevitable
Yeah.
in any relationship.
Sure.
The script doesn't shy away from that.
Right.
It shows us Jake and Lily, these siblings, who get into a spat over a borrowed book.
But what struck me about that scene is how they handle the conflict.
Right.
Instead of letting, the anger escalate, They stay calm. They listen to each other, and they work together to find a solution.
Building on this idea of resolving conflicts constructively, the script offers a heartwarming example of how strong relationships can weather disagreements.
Mm.
The siblings demonstrate that conflict doesn't necessarily destructive, but rather an opportunity for growth and understanding.
I love that they emphasize finding a solution together.
Yeah.
It's not about, who's right or wrong or
Right.
blaming.
Yeah, precisely. And remember, blaming shuts down communication
Yes.
and erodes trust, which we've already established are the foundation
Right.
of a healthy relationship.
Right. It's like they see the conflict as something they have to navigate together,
Exactly.
not a battle to be won.
Yeah, and that collaborative approach fosters a sense of partnership
Mhm.
and shared responsibility, which are essential for long-term relationship health.
It's funny. We often think of grand gestures, right? When we talk about relationships, like that scene where Maya's friends surprise her for her birthday.
Right.
So heartwarming.
Yeah.
But it makes you think
Mm-hmm.
about the small, everyday ways that we can show up for each other.
That scene perfectly illustrates the importance of quality time and support, even in subtle ways.
Mhm.
It's about being present for the people you care about, celebrating their joys, and offering comfort during tough times.
Right? Like, what are some ways we can be more present without having to throw a surprise party every week?
That's a great question. Have you ever received a handwritten note from someone expressing gratitude? Or maybe someone simply lent a listening ear when you needed to vent?
Oh, yeah,
These small acts of presence can make a huge difference.
totally. Sometimes just knowing that someone's there for you, even in a small way,
Yeah,
can be so comforting.
absolutely. And it goes back to that sense of being seen, heard, and valued that we talked about earlier.
Yeah, it's interesting how the script kind of ties everything together.
Mm-hmm.
It's like all of these principles, they aren't these isolated concepts,
Yeah.
but pieces of a larger puzzle.
Precisely. And toward the end, the script emphasizes that healthy relationships take effort,
Yeah,
but the rewards are immense.
totally.
It's like anything worthwhile in life.
Right.
It requires dedication and commitment.
But the rewards are totally worth it.
Yeah.
That feeling of joy and security and support, you can't put a price tag on that.
What I appreciate about this script is that it doesn't present an idealized, unattainable version of relationships.
Right.
It acknowledges that disagreements will happen,
Yeah.
that life throws curveballs.
Yeah.
But it's how we navigate those challenges using these principles we've been discussing
Yeah.
that determines the strength and resilience of our relationship.
It's like, having a toolbox
Mm-hmm.
equipped with all the right tools,
Yeah,
communication, trust, respect,
right.
presence. And when you hit a bump in the road,
Uh-huh.
which tool to grab.
And remember, those tools are applicable in all sorts of relationships.
Oh, that's so true.
Not just romantic ones.
We often think, okay, these apply to my personal life, but not my work life.
Right.
But the script challenges.
That absolutely. In fact, applying these principles in the workplace can lead to greater collaboration, productivity, and job satisfaction.
Totally.
It creates a more positive and
Yeah.
supportive environment.
Imagine if workplaces felt more like communities,
Yeah.
built on respect and open communication.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
When we invest in building healthy relationships in one area of our lives,
Mhm.
it positively impacts other areas as well.
It's like a ripple effect.
It's like a virtuous cycle.
Yeah, and it's not just about what we receive from others,
Right.
but what we contribute.
Absolutely.
The script emphasizes healthy relationships are a two-way street.
It's about active participation, showing up for the people in our lives, and
Mhm.
putting in the effort to nurture those connections.
Because at the end of the day, relationships are what enrich our lives
Mm-hmm.
and give them meaning. Right.
Now, this whole discussion about interpersonal relationships raises an important question for me. It makes you wonder if we apply these principles to the relationship we have with ourselves.
Oh, wow.
Because, a healthy relationship with yourself
Yeah.
is really the foundation for all healthy relationships.
That's deep.
Yeah, so as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with this thought.
Okay.
How can you cultivate those same qualities?
Okay.
Communication, trust, respect, presence
Yeah.
in your relationship with yourself.
I love that. It's like taking everything we've talked about
Yeah.
and turning the lens inward.
Exactly.
But what does that even look like? How do you communicate with yourself?
Oh, it starts with being aware of your self-talk, right?
Yeah.
Are you constantly criticizing yourself?
Yeah.
Or are you offering words of encouragement? Would you speak to a friend the way you speak to yourself?
That's a really good point. It's like checking in with that inner voice.
Yeah.
Make sure it's supportive.
Exactly.
And what about trust? How do you build trust with yourself?
Trusting yourself could mean believing in your abilities
Mm-hmm.
and following through on promises you make to yourself.
Okay.
It's about knowing that you can rely on yourself to make sound decisions
Right.
that align with your values.
Okay, so respect could mean setting healthy boundaries with yourself,
Exactly.
like prioritizing self-care,
Yeah.
not overcommitting.
Yeah, respecting yourself involves honoring your needs and limits, both physical and emotional.
Yeah,
It's about treating yourself with the same kindness
yeah.
and consideration you'd extend to someone you care about.
Okay, and presence would be like being fully in the moment, right?
Yeah.
Not dwelling on the past,
Exactly.
not worrying about the future.
It's about bringing that same level of attentiveness and mindfulness
Yeah,
to your own experiences that you would bring to, an
right.
important conversation with a loved one.
Wow, this has been so eye-opening.
Yeah.
It's like a whole new dimension of personal growth has opened up.
And that's the beauty of exploring these ideas, isn't it?
Right.
It not only expands our understanding of the world, but also deepens our relationship with ourselves.
This deep dive has been amazing.
Yeah.
We've covered so much, from communication, trust,
Mhm.
conflict resolution, quality time,
Mm-hmm.
and then this whole idea of applying those principles to ourselves.
Yeah.
That's a game changer.
It's been a joy exploring these ideas with you.
Likewise.
I hope our listener is walking away with a renewed appreciation for the power of healthy relationships,
Mm-hmm.
both with others and with themselves.
Absolutely. So until next time, keep diving deep into this
Yeah.
amazing world of knowledge and discovery.
Exactly.
And remember, building strong, healthy relationships starts from within.
See you on the next deep dive. Yeah, it makes you wonder,
Yeah, it does it.
if we can apply these principles to the relationship we have with ourselves,
Oh, wow.
because, a healthy relationship with yourself is really the foundation for all healthy relationships.
That's deep.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with this thought to ponder.
Okay.
How can you cultivate those same qualities, communication, trust, respect, presence in your relationship with yourself?
Oh, I love that. Taking all of these insights we've talked about
Yeah,
and turning the lens inward.
exactly.
But what does that even look like in practice? Like, how do you communicate with yourself?
Well, it starts with being aware of your self-talk.
Right.
Are you constantly criticizing yourself, or are you offering words of encouragement and support?
Yeah.
Would you speak to a friend the way you speak to yourself?
That's such a good point.
Yeah,
It's like checking in with that inner voice and making sure it's a supportive one.
right.
And what about trust? How do you build trust with yourself?
Trusting yourself could mean believing in your abilities and following through on promises you make to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's about knowing that you can rely on yourself to make sound decisions and take actions that align with your values.
Okay. So then respect, could that mean setting healthy boundaries with yourself?
Exactly.
Like prioritizing self-care, not overcommitting to things that drain your energy.
You're exactly right.
Yeah.
Respecting yourself involves honoring your needs and limits, both physical and emotional.
Yeah.
It's about treating yourself with the same kindness and consideration you would extend to someone you care about.
Okay, I can see that. And then I imagine presence in this context would mean being fully engaged in the present moment,
Exactly.
rather than dwelling on the past or worrying about the future.
It's about bringing that same level of attentiveness and mindfulness to your own experiences that you would bring to, an important conversation with a loved one.
That makes sense. Wow, this has been such an eye-opening conversation.
Yeah.
Like a whole new dimension of personal growth has opened up for me.
That's the beauty of exploring these ideas.
Totally.
It not only expands our understanding of the world, but also deepens our relationship with ourselves.
Well, this deep dive has been incredible.
It has.
We've covered so much, from communication, trust,
Hmm.
to conflict resolution, the importance of quality time,
Yeah.
and then this whole idea of applying these principles to ourselves.
Right.
That's a real game changer.
Yeah, it's been a joy exploring these ideas with you.
Likewise.
I hope our listener is walking away with a renewed appreciation for the power of healthy relationships, both with others and with themselves.
Absolutely. So until next time, keep diving deep into this fascinating world of knowledge and discovery.
See you on the next deep dive.
And remember, building strong, healthy relationships starts from within. The 75-9.